We all know the beginning of Demon Slayer. Tanjiro finding his family completely torn to shreds, killed, and his little sister turned into a demon. But what would have happened if Nezuko didn't actually resist the urges to kill Tanjiro? What if Giyu Tomioka was just a little bit later than normal? And what would have happened if Nezuko killed Tanjiro in episode 1? That's what we're going to be going into in this What If. It all starts, like I said, with Tanjiro arriving back home, but he smells blood completely coursing through the air, and he begins to walk over to see his family torn to shreds. Family dead, but only one was still breathing. He would pick up his sister Nezuko and run as fast as possible, hoping that he could actually save her. But unfortunately, he should have just left her there to die, because when he would get thrown down the mountain, Tanjiro would try his best and shield Nezuko. But soon this would be a lapse in judgment, because his hatchet, the one he normally has, would fling off toward the side, landing right next to a tree. Tanjiro would try to reach out and grab it, but soon Nezuko would come with a ferocious bite, biting down on Tanjiro and ripping his neck clean off. Yes, graphic, I know, but Nezuko would more or less chow on Tanjiro and eventually kill him. And this is where the story could go a couple of ways. The first way is a very simple one, and that is the one and only Nezuko wouldn't be the same demon we once knew her as, because many believe that once a demon actually devours a human, they enter kind of a primal state of some sorts. More or less, if she truly actually decides to kill/eat a human, she is no longer severed in terms of humanity at all, completely dejecting herself from what she was as a human and now embracing the totality of being a demon. Now, with that said, Tomioka normally would arrive, and in one scenario, it would definitely end with Tomioka just killing Nezuko dying, and, well, Tanjiro being dead as well. Giyu would see the more or less the Tanjiro dead on the ground and the Nezuko dead as well now after slicing her head off, but he would be a bit distraught about it. I mean, this was a brother, obviously, and it was obvious that his sister changed into a demon and sprung into action on the primal urges of the one and only Muzan, the one and only king of the demons. Now, it might be unfortunate, but Giyu does see this quite a bit. He sees this quite often. He knows that he has to kill demons for a living, and the only way to save every single person is to kill every single demon. There is no way of actually staying it all together. Now, with this timeline, things would go relatively different, and the only reason why I say this is because there is no Tanjiro at all. I mean, we're talking about fight scenarios that would go really, really bad for some of the Demon Slayers because Tanjiro's not existent. Now, I do truly believe this, that the Demon Slayers would still go on. I mean, I don't think there's any way that it would be resulted into a absolute population wipe or just completely a zero, more or less, plan from Muzan to delete all the Demon Slayers. I mean, we know Muzan's cocky and stuff like that, so if he sees no reason to actually kill the rest of the Demon Slayers, then he's not going to do it. But there's a lot of things that happen that would be pretty unfortunate. I mean, starters, Rengoku would obviously still die, and frankly enough, Zenitsu and Inosuke may even die in the forest before even fighting Rui. We know they stood no chance against some of those demons over there, so there's a good chance they end up dying before Giyu and Shinobu could even get to them. And let's not even talk about Tengen. We know how much and how crucial Zenitsu, Inosuke, and also Tanjiro were to that plotline, so the fact that they're not there at all, or potentially not there at all, Tengen could just die. And this is a pretty big constant in a lot of these scenarios, but I want to talk about something else. What would have happened if Nezuko didn't die directly after that? Now, this would cause for a little bit of kind of playing with the timeline, because Nezuko would kill Tanjiro and then actually leave before Giyu would even arrive. And this would make the assumption that Giyu stops at the maybe dead body of Tanjiro, assesses the situation, and is actually unable to kind of reach out and follow Nezuko. But this version of Nezuko is still very primal and very, very instinctual in terms of being a demon. And we know that she is levels above a lot of these other demons, at least, ones that are normal demons. We've seen Nezuko fight these demons and actually be pretty comparable. But would her actually devouring humans affect this? I'm not so sure. Honestly, in my opinion, I would say that Nezuko would probably be around the same strength that she normally would be because she is devouring demons. And yes, there is an argument to be made that maybe she got stronger because she slept and it was a different version of it. But there's no necessary proof that we can go by to actually make that a guarantee. So I think she would still be pretty strong. I mean, she literally takes on the temple demon and more or less helps Tanjiro drastically, more or less solos him and with ease, making it seem like Tanjiro is a massive weakling, which at that point in the timeline he definitely would have been, but Nezuko is definitely pretty strong. Now, from here on out, if she keeps devouring humans, eventually there's a good chance she'll run into some demon slayers, but here's the thing. All of the regular demon slayers would most likely not be able to stand a chance against Nezuko. Nezuko would be pretty strong, and it would eventually lead to a Hashira most likely having to take her down. And that's just the reality of it. And that's more of a evil kind of version of Nezuko, and there's a good chance that her power continues to climb, and eventually she actually becomes kind of loyal to Muzan, leaving and missing all those memories that were once in her brain and now manipulated mainly for Muzan, and eventually leading to something kind of terrifying. And that would be Muzan actually conquering the sun. Yes, actually conquering the sun. Because there's a good chance that Nezuko would get stronger and stronger and stronger, and eventually would actually be out in the sun, maybe fighting a Hashira. Maybe she's fighting a Hashira, going toe-to-toe with them later on, of course, because Nezuko wouldn't be that strong immediately and off the bat. I mean, at least that's what I believe. After a bit of time, maybe a year, 2, 3 years, she would gain strength and maybe go head-to-head with a Hashira. I mean, maybe someone like Shinobu, or maybe taking on someone like Kanao, even though she isn't a Hashira, and I understand that. But maybe this fight would be able to reveal that she conquers the sun. Now, if that's the case, that's a scary future for the Demon Slayers. Because if Nezuko conquers the sun, Muzan knows about it, and Muzan has Nezuko wrapped around his finger and knows that she will do exactly as he wishes. Immediately after Nezuko would conquer the sun, maybe against someone like Kanao, well, it's over. Muzan would track Nezuko down and would actually use the demon blood and absorption, kind of what he did with Tanjiro, to actually more or less become Nezuko, quote unquote, but not as quite, more or less just regain and take the power that Nezuko has now gained, aka making it so Muzan himself, Muzan, can actually conquer the sun. And once Muzan conquers the sun, nothing can stop him. No Nichirin blade can slice through his neck, and no sunlight could pierce his skin. The death of all demon slayers would be upon them. But now, you might be thinking, okay, well, what's this other scenario that you're thinking of? Well, the other scenario is actually involving Nezuko being kind of good. Yeah, it might be kind of an off-putting thing to hear, but if you put it into perspective, maybe Nezuko had a lapse of judgment, and we've seen that she did when she first became a demon, but eventually fought it off. Now, what if she did kill Tanjiro, but right after she freaks out, thinking, no, I just killed my brother. No, what just happened? Not eating Tanjiro, but killing Tanjiro. So she decides that she would grab her brother and race off maybe, just maybe, she can save him. But soon she can feel the sun's beams actually hitting her and hurting her, diving into a cave where she actually hides Tanjiro's body. But unfortunately, Tanjiro's dead. There's just no way that she can revive him, no way to bring him back. But as she sits there and as she can feel emotions, these emotions that seem to be hidden from the blood of Muzan, or the King of Demons, she sees the spirit of her own brother, sees Tanjiro once more, and Tanjiro himself would actually be able to give that sense of humanity back to Nezuko, telling her that it's okay, telling her that everything's going to be fine, and that she needs to avoid the sunlight and try her best to not kill humans. Now, in doing so, this would be kind of like her own hypnotic state. Maybe Nezuko would take a piece of a tree and put it within her mouth just so she doesn't get any temptation of actually killing somebody. But Nezuko would most likely just stay within hiding, and whenever she would get extremely hungry, she would sleep in a cave for a long period of time. But word of this person would eventually get out, and word of Nezuko would lead to Lady Tamaya. Now, with that happening, well, Nezuko would eventually be more or less awakened by the sight of another demon. Freaking out, she would kick toward his head, and he would barely be able to dodge. It's obvious that Nezuko is extremely fast and has gotten far bit stronger than any demon they've seen from not being able to eat humans. But, of course, the demon that's in front of her would be named Yushiro, and he would tell her that it's okay, that everything's going to be fine, and that Lady Tamaya would like to speak with her. And eventually there would be some convincing involved, but they would eventually take Nezuko to Lady Tamaya. Lady Tamaya would explain to Nezuko what's happening, what's going on, and actually questions her a little bit. And of course, Nezuko doesn't really know what to say and can't really say anything at all. She doesn't want to take the little wooden kind of pole that she has out of her mouth. She doesn't want to hurt nobody, so she decides that she'll just listen. And listening would actually get her a ton of information, because Lady Tamaya believes that she may be the key to actually making an antidote, or more or less a cure, for the demons. Now, we all know that not having Tanjiro in this scenario is a scary one. So this would be a totally different version of Demon Slayer than you would even believe. Nezuko wouldn't necessarily take the place of Tanjiro, but she would enact a lot of more or less fighting and getting blood from different demons that Tanjiro would have normally done in the reality or the canon. But she would do it in a way where she wouldn't necessarily want to quote-unquote kill them, because she couldn't really kill them in a way. It would be very difficult for her to actually kill them. So without, any shearing blade or something like that, she decides that she just gets blood samples from different demons depending on their strength and so on. And this would be perfect, because this would allow Lady Tamaya to actually get as much blood as possible to learn how to actually manufacture a cure. Now, with that said, you may be wondering, well, would they be able to get the cure in the same amount of time? No, probably not, and it probably wouldn't even be close, just because they lack the amount of demons they need and high level demons they need, or upper moons and stuff like that, to actually gain the blood from them, or even the lower moons at that. And yes, of course, there would be kind of benefits to this. Nezuko would live far longer, and Lady Tamaya and also Yushiro would be taught how Nezuko actually lives, and it might be able to even implement that themselves. But it's no real guarantee that they would even be doing that, because they have such a good kind of way of doing it already. Now, with all that kind of said and done and put away, the age of the Demon Slayers, or at least during this time, probably wouldn't be saved via this antidote/cure. I would say that it would most likely lead to a completely different generation of Demon Slayers, maybe an older version of Inosuke and Zenitsu. That's if they lived, of course. I mean, we know the lifespans of Demon Slayers aren't very long, so there's a good chance that they don't live. But that's okay. I mean, maybe that's not okay for some of you, and you don't like that idea of them dying. But it's okay in terms of the lifespan of Nezuko. Nezuko can live for a while, and eventually they would come out with an antidote or a cure. Now, they wouldn't immediately use it on Nezuko, because Nezuko is too big of a factor at this point, and way too major of part of the plan. This would turn out to be a great call on their behalf, because Nezuko would be their way of speaking with the Demon Slayers. Let Itamaya, Yushiro, and also Nezuko would speak with some of the Demon Slayers and eventually speak with maybe a Hashira. Now, this would be a scary action, so they would need to make sure they are cautious about what they are doing, kind of luring them in or luring a Hashira in and eventually speaking with them, saying that they have no intent of killing, and actually some of them haven't even eaten humans and actually live in various ways outside of the normal demon-like behavior, and would explain that they created a possible cure. They give them the cure, or at least a partial amount of it, and tells them that if they have anybody that is very good or in-depth in medicine, that they should actually look into utilizing this cure. They would kind of leave it at that, but eventually there would be kind of a medical like Hashira, maybe similar to Shinobu, or maybe it's not even a Hashira and a lower ranked demon slayer that is very good with medicine, and they would work together to a certain extent. And especially after they get proof that it actually cures demons, and especially after they cure kind of like a really weak demon, and it kind of shows them that the potential is definitely there to do so. And once they do that, it's all up to the Demon Slayers from here on out. I mean, yes, Nezuko would most likely become a human, but I mean, does it really matter that she becomes a human again when they all know if they don't take out Muzan, it's just over, it's endgame. So they have to be able to beat Muzan and everybody else. And I don't know, it's up to you guys and what you think. Do you think there would be another generation, maybe another generation of Demon Slayers that could be capable enough to actually defeat Muzan and the demons, even with maybe a more advanced version of the cure and a more mass-produced version of the cure? I would like to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. And I know this is a little bit different of a video, at least content-wise. I know I made it a little bit different. Hopefully you guys enjoy this style. I like this style a little bit too. But obviously I will do some of the more story kind of narrated content as well. I'm just currently on vacation at the moment, so I'm not actually at my my home. But nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. And if you did, leave a like, leave a sub, and like I said, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it. Hope y'all enjoyed What If Nezuko Killed Tanjiro in episode 1. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.